It's my pleasure to be here with you on this Super Bowl Sunday. I really don't have a dog in this race since the Patriots aren't playing and Tom Brady is retired. So I'm just going to sit back with my food and enjoy this game this afternoon. I prepared a few comments, so I'm just going to look down a bit and read, and I will try to keep eye contact with you. I've been doing social justice work as an anti-racist educator for over 25 years, as a teacher, a middle school principal, and currently as a DE&I facilitator and trainer for Valencia College's Peace and Justice Institute here in Orlando. My greatest pleasures over the years and right up to today are the opportunities that I'm afforded to pay it forward with messages to students such as yourselves who are going to see a time that I will not see. And I say right up to today because it was about 2 hours ago where I got a message, just a greeting from a former student, just out of the blue, saying how much they appreciated the time that I had spent with them in elementary school. And this goes back over 30 years. As adults, where you are going, we have already been there. And we carry the messages of hope, love, and success. And now we're passing those on to you. As I said a moment ago, I grew up in New York City in the 50s and 60s. And as with most states, we had to take as students statewide exams in several content areas. And although I was never one who really scored that well on these statewide exams, other than getting a passing grade, the one exam that I remember the most was the statewide history regents exams, and that's what they were called in New York State, regents. There was an essay question about Black history. The problem was that no one had ever taught us much, if anything, about Black history. So I wrote my 300+ word essay with the theme of, why are you asking me something that you haven't taught me about? That was over 50 years ago. And I'm still learning about the history that was kept from myself, as well as the other students who were in school with me, that was lost, stolen, or strayed. Here's an example of something that I learned about 5 or 6 years ago. In 1855, an African-American community in New York City was destroyed, and over 300 people were left homeless. It was called Seneca Village. New Yorkers know that place today as Central Park. Perhaps you've heard of the Mayflower and the voyage of the Mayflower that landed in Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1620. I learned that too. But I did not learn about the White Lion that landed on the shores of Jamestown on August 20th, 1619. With 20 Ndongo people who had been enslaved from their home in Angola. Those who do not remember the past are sure to repeat it, unless each one of us educates ourselves in the search of truth. As an educator, I always wanted my students to be critically curious about what it was that they were taught. I have right over my head here a calendar from the Equal Justice Initiative that has 365 days of African American history. And here's the history from just yesterday, February the 12th, 1901. The state of Delaware ratified the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery, after refusing to do so for 36 years. I did not know about that. That was not part of what I was taught during my time in school. And I would say I probably should have been more critically curious about those types of events. The other thing I want my students to understand, and that I'd like for you to understand, is that there is a critical human connection that we make with one another, and that needs to be celebrated. You see, I also believe that when it comes to learning, thoughts determine actions. The The way you think about a situation, an academic situation, goes a long way to determining how you're going to respond in that situation. Learning is a process. It's not about a package of material that you are born with. If you think you can and you work hard, you will get better. And to say it differently, if you have the confidence and you make an effective effort, you will get smart, because smart is something that you earn. It is not something that you are. So, Colonel Page asked me, who would I put on my Mount Rushmore of leaders? And my first thought was, well, I'm going to need a larger mountain, because there's too many people that need to go there. But I just thought of 3 or 4 here that I'll just share their names with you. Claudette Colvin, who as a teenager, some 8 or 9 months before Rosa Parks was arrested, was also arrested for refusing to give up her seat on the bus. The author Lorraine Hansberry. As a middle school principal, I was so delighted to see my 8th grade teachers, English teachers, using A Raisin in the Sun as a teaching tool for our students. Katherine Johnson, if you know anything about the space program or are beginning to learn about the space program, Katherine Johnson is a name to know, and especially to push back against that, those biases, if you will, about women and math, and women not being able to do well in math. Because you see, I remember a time back in the 50s and 60s, only because we had about 15 people in our neighborhood, that some of the girls had dolls. And there was a Barbie doll that actually said, "I don't do math." And the last name that I'll leave you with is Jane Bolin, the first Black woman to become a judge in the United States of America. And something I discovered about 3 or 4 years ago is that Jane Bolin is on my family lineage on my mother's side. She is a relative of mine. I can claim the fact that the first female Black judge in this country is a relative of mine. I just want to close by saying that you have to speak out and continue to educate yourself and continue to get involved and continue to make your life a have to when it comes to your education, when it comes to making that human connection, when it comes to giving back to the community. Let me close by saying and ensuring you that everything you want is just on the other side of hard. Thank you.